Welcome to Bite Size Dancer, the podcast where we dive into the trends shaping our digital world. I'm Kennedy, and I'm here with a special guest, Paige Wright, my roommate, best friend, and fellow high school alumna and president of the world.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're stepping into the bustling kitchen of TikTok's home cooks and meal preppers. From viral recipe hacks to cooking as therapy, TikTok's culinary creators are stirring up more than just meals. They're serving up conversations about culture, inclusivity, and even mental health. Today, we'll unpack these topics with special guests and get to the root of what makes this community so compelling. And stick around to the end, we'll play a fun foodie game you won't want to miss. Before we dive into the heart of TikTok's cooking community, let me introduce two popular creators who perfectly embody the trends and dynamics we'll be discussing today, Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm. Nara Smith is a TikTok creator known for her captivating cooking videos, often showcasing meals she prepares for her husband and kids. Her content has earned her major brand deals, including a high-profile collaboration with Marc Jacobs. Nara Smith videos often highlight traditional household dynamics, sparking conversations about gender roles and the triad wife trend. But it hasn't been smooth sailing. Nara Smith has faced accusations of recipe theft from other creators, adding a layer of controversy to her rise in the digital space. Nara was allegedly accused of stealing, I believe, a South African creator's recipes or just content in general, and she would put her own twist on it by doing her casual voice play and aesthetic clips and cuts, and setting up the beginning of the clip by saying, "My kids crave this," or "My husband really wanted this dish." And I believe that the South African original creator has made multiple videos talking about this and has said that those are her recipes, but I do not believe Nara Smith has responded or made a public response. And if she did, I believe it was very informal or indirect. Still, she's widely loved for her blending modern homemaking with a touch of marketable style. Her husband, often seen with a toothpick in his mouth, adds fun and a slight southern charm to her videos that keeps her audience engaged. Now let's talk about another rising star in this space, Ballerina Farm, also known as Hannah Newman. Like Nara, Hannah shares delightful cooking videos that center around traditional family dynamics. She gained national attention when her lifestyle and views were highlighted in a New York Times article, sparking discussions about modern homemaking and gender roles. Recently, a viral moment had Hannah receiving an egg holder apron from her husband for her birthday, much to her dismay, since she had hoped for a trip to Greece. The video ignited mixed reactions online, with some finding it endearing and others questioning the message it sent about gender expectations in marriage. Despite the controversy, Hannah's culinary skills and her traditional values continue to inspire many. Let's kick things off with TikTok's obsession with aesthetics. Have you ever watched a cooking video and thought, "There's no way my kitchen looked this good"? Well, you're not alone. TikTok's emphasis on beautiful visuals can inspire, but it also creates pressure for creators and viewers alike. Now for you, Paige, how do you think the push for visual perfection impacts TikTok creators? Do you think it stifles creativity or pushes them to innovate?
I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because I think that while it both allows for creativity within fashion, architecture, home design, it also traps women into this need to be at the same level as other people and TikTok creators. I think that it also aligns with capitalism, where there's this constant need to be better than the person before you. And, capitalism pushes for innovation, but it also traps people within the system where they're spending too much and they are, living beyond their means. And I don't think that's necessarily good for people. At the same time, though, capitalism breeds innovation. We're constantly moving forward in this world, and we're constantly coming out with new things that are good for us, but also contributes to systems of oppression.
Yeah, and I think it's just a repetitive cycle, because I don't want to start with product, but every piece of merchandise that could be sold that is considered an aesthetic, I feel like it's just envied upon people, especially once 2 or 3 really anyone with the following, it takes hold.
And especially when they have these huge platforms, I think that it sets unrealistic standards for, the regular person that's watching these videos. And when other people see these people who are seemingly just like them living in this way, it gives them this false sense of hope that they too can reach that level, when that's really just not true. And I also think that these women are, pushing for living standards that aren't realistic for the everyday person. Like, most people do not have the time to be at home in the kitchen making these elaborate meals for their family because they're working a 9 to 5. So I think that in that way it also gives this unrealistic picture of what the, perfect family should look like, that brings us back to times where, women didn't work.
Yeah. When I was talking about repetitive cycle when it comes to product, I was talking to the cycle of capitalism and in regard to consumerism, but in regards to what you're saying about also the repetitive cycle of just traditional values being implemented into our society, it's also romanticized. And I'm not saying it's a problem, because I think it's good to also showcase your relationship, your family dynamics, if you're comfortable with it, and your partner and your kids, of course, however it is. But I feel like people crave and desire that aesthetic, that relationship, that bond, that dynamic. That, I want to make sure my husband has his feet kicked up, or I'm not saying that's how her husband is, but my husband is laid back, toothpick in his mouth, kind of checking me out as I slaved in the kitchen and made homemade things for my kids all day. And he taste tests and, gives me a kiss for all that I do.
I also think that with this past election in mind, and looking at how our generation has become seemingly more right-leaning, I think the fetishization of the trad wife also plays a big role in that, especially younger white men who are leaning more right and are having more conservative views. I think that when they look and they see online that women are romanticizing, as you said, this trad wife life, I think that they and their mind see that, women are starting to accept being in the home more. And that,
quote unquote,
right, and that allows them and is a justification for them to say, okay, maybe the right is more what I envision for my life.
Not even their fate, what the history was built on.
I think that, trad wife trend, I think that the trad wife trend sets women back a little bit, but at the same time, I think that is too reductive, because I think that women have the right to choose. If that's what you want to do, by all means, go ahead and do it. I just don't think that it should be romanticized and fetishized as much as it is.
Absolutely. Now let's talk representation. Are TikTok kitchens breaking stereotypes, or are traditional gender roles still on the menu? Creators like Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm often lean into traditional homemaker vibes. What do you think about this trend? Does it empower or reinforce outdated norms?
I think that with the rise of trad wife and the diverse group of women that are leading it, I think that it kind of plays into American exceptionalism and the ideals that uphold that system of American exceptionalism, and especially thinking about how the U.S. pushes that we are this diverse country and we give everyone equal opportunity, which, as we know, is not really true. But I think that when the U.S. pushes, or TikTok specifically pushes women like Nara Smith, who are not white, into this spotlight, it exemplifies this idea that, anyone, no matter your race, can be fitting into this role. which again can also be reductive but also freeing.
TikTok is a melting pot of global flavors, but sometimes the line between cultural appreciation and appropriation gets blurred. Do you think TikTok creators do enough to credit the origins of the recipes they share? Where should the line be drawn between inspiration and appropriation?
I think that specifically thinking about the Nara Smith situation, I think that there is a line between creativity and stealing from someone else. I think that TikTok is a huge platform and there is not a lot of room for coming up with something that's absolutely 100% original. I think that we are at a point in time where you're not going to have something that's 100% original, and I think, yes, of course, we should be giving credit where credit is due, but at the same time, understanding that no one is ever going to be 100% original.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that cancel culture plays a huge part into cultural appropriation versus appreciation online, and I think that there's always room for growth and education, and I think that people online can be really mean. And the internet is not always a safe space for learning and growing. People are very quick to cancel others, and I don't think that it allows for education.
Yeah. Cooking isn't just about food, it's also about mental health. For many TikTok creators, cooking becomes a therapeutic outlet. Why do you think so many people find comfort in cooking, especially in front of an audience? Does TikTok make this experience more communal or more performative?
Me, I do enjoy cooking at home. Not necessarily at college though, because I don't like to pay for my groceries. I do love cooking, and I love the satisfaction of watching someone else eat the food that I made for them, because I think that, I put all this work into it, and it's a way for me to show my gratitude, love to someone else. And I think that when you have a massive platform and you see all these people showing you the love that you put into your food, your work, I think it's probably, a dopamine rush, a serotonin rush, and I think that can be addicting, and I think that also plays into them continuing to make the videos that they make. And once you have your niche, I think it was Jake Shane who was talking about this on his podcast actually. Once you find your niche, that's what you have to stick with, because that's what people are going to know you as.
And when you get to that point, do you believe that it then becomes performative and you start to lose the love for it?
I do think it's performative, but I also think that if this is something that you're passionate about, I think that it's probably really gratifying that something that you are so passionate about, other people also find passion about that same thing.
Yeah. And I definitely do think that it's inspiring, especially with the prep and leading up to Thanksgiving. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I believe her name is Tiny or Teeny. And she cooks for her husband, actually, newlyweds, and her mac and cheese went viral. And I know she has received a lot of hate for people making reaction videos saying I made the recipe and it didn't come out good, and I didn't make the roux good, and I burnt the roux and this that. But there have also been so much love in the amount of people worldwide that have just tried her recipe alone, and people were even talking about elbow noodles were in stock, and that's the most popular noodle for mac and cheese on Thanksgiving. But cavatelli is the noodle that she used in the video, and it was sold out in so many grocery stores. People were talking about sold out everywhere. People were upset to use elbow or using random shaped noodles, but I feel like that is an example itself of it being a communal experience, and you have internationally people all around the world making, maybe it's just the holiday season too that also makes it feel a little bit more homey and, close together, close knit. But I'm sure she felt so much love from there, and I'm sure in that moment too, maybe the initial video was performative, maybe it wasn't. Well, I could feel her sense of love and genuineness for cooking through the camera, and also she's also expelling that for her husband as well, and maybe it's performative for us, but there's also love and gratitude for her husband, and profitable.
She's doing this out of love for her husband.
And it works. We love it. It's also another thing that people crave and probably love too. And I want to start cooking and get my partner's reaction.
Also, also like thinking about historically, women have cooked in the kitchen together always. This is a communal thing.
All right, it's time for a little fun game. We're gonna start with a few true or false questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ballerina Farm's egg apron went viral for being universally loved. True or false?
False.
Correct. Definitely sparked mixed reaction. The whipped coffee trend on TikTok became popular during the pandemic.
So true. I was addicted.
Correct. True or false? Nature's cereal trend involves using actual cereal grains mixed with milk.
Ew. True?
False. Like just cut up fruits and coconut water.
Oh, yes.
This little segment is called Guess the Ingredient. The viral TikTok recipe involves a block of feta cheese and cherry tomatoes baked together.
Pasta.
Yeah, it's like the baked feta pasta thing. Remember, and they would like sprinkle olive oil on it and just bake the cherry tomatoes.
Yeah. Oh, and like garlic.
Yeah.
You put like a whole clove. Yeah, actually I do remember that.
This TikTok drink combines matcha powder, milk, and a sweetener, then shakes it with ice. You're also a barista, so this is like easy for you.
Easy for me. I'm gonna say sugar or some kind of syrup. Honey, maybe? Matcha latte?
What type of bread seems to be the most popular on TikTok?
I would say probably focaccia or sourdough.
Sourdough. Now we're gonna get into some riddles. I'm creamy delight, green and bright, mashed and spread. I'm a toast best friend. What am I?
Avocado or pesto?
Avocado. Toast.
Avocado toast. Oh, yeah. Okay, look.
I'll give it to you. I'm a snack that's fried with cheese inside. Crispy and hot. I'm a cheesy ride. What am I?
Cheese balls. Fried cheese balls. Mozzarella sticks.
Yeah. You're in the right realm. I'm a drink that's cold with flavors bold. Matcha and milk. I'm also sold. What am I?
Matcha latte.
Yeah.
Yum.
That's a wrap for today's episodes of Bite Size Banter. Great job, Paige, on the game and just conversation dialogue. It was great talking with you. From the aesthetic pressures of TikTok to the cultural depth of its cooking community, we've seen how food on this platform is about so much more than just recipes. Thanks again to my amazing guest, Paige, for joining me. Thank you all for listening. See you next time.